How goes the family? Welcome back to another episode of Patterson L Properties. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Today's subject matter in regards to real estate investing, I will be talking about Mr. Chris Senegal. Now, pull up your chairs, get comfortable, grab your coffee or whatever you have, because this is going to be an excellent video talking about this young man who's inspired me. And I know he's inspiring others. Looking through the vision of Chris Senegal in Houston, Texas, he's a very big real estate investor and developer who's doing a great job flipping the narrative on gentrification one block at a time. Now, the article that I read regarding Mr. Senegal basically referenced the rundown drug-infested block that he bought back in 2013 in a specific area, I believe it's 5th Ward in Houston, Texas. Mr. Senegal's agenda, which I think was and is to this day awesome, was to develop new construction on it and attract successful businesses, specifically black businesses and residents back to the neighborhood. And Mr. Senegal stated that it is definitely working. Just like a conversation that I had the other day with somebody, that when you own the house and own the land, or just own the land, you call the shots, period. But when you don't, you're a tenant, so don't complain. It will be hard, but with the right strategy, it can really pay off for you and your family. Mr. Senegal sold everything he has built so far and pre-sold some houses that won't be complete until the mid-2020s. Mr. Senegal stated that this was to help increase the average income in the neighborhood to make it more attractive to businesses. Another one of his focuses is to curb gentrification in Houston, Texas, is to market to buyers that look like the long-term residents of the specific communities that he's investing in, so that they have more of a concern for the well-being and housing stability, etc. Everyone else does this in every other single business and community out there. So, I don't see why it shouldn't be a big deal that Mr. Senegal is doing this and implementing buying commercial real estate, which holds way more value than residential real estate. And just, that's just what it is, and more power. I'm not downing people like that actually, purchase residential properties, because I do it as well. Mr. Senegal's next initiative is to buy another part of the neighborhood that he's investing in. It's a small community of 18 rentals, he stated, that are occupied mostly by seniors and single moms, all on fixed incomes, in a quickly gentrifying neighborhood. I think that he should really be commended, give a round of applause, give him a digital round of applause on this, because Mr. Senegal is not only curbing gentrification in this community, but he is making good profits from his real estate, and he is giving back to the community. You can do this, and it is possible, so I think it's awesome. Mr. Senegal stated that these tenants would usually be the victims of displacement in gentrifying areas. When neighborhoods are revitalized by people from the outside of the community, the long-term residents are casualties of capitalism. Because at the end of the day, it's one of those old sayings that was from one of my favorite Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery movies, Rising Sun. Business is war. And that was this term that the Japanese used within the movie. I don't know if they actually use that in real life, but that's what capitalism, it is war. And if you're going to be ready to play in it, you got to be ready to fight, from an economic perspective speaking. So one way to combat this is to ensure that you have people around you to think that actually think economically. And if you do not have real estate on your mind, or in ways, or any other thing on your mind in ways that's actually going to economically protect yourself when it pertains to real estate, then you are in a vulnerable position, no matter what the case is, no matter who the president is, no matter who runs the Senate. You're in a vulnerable position, very vulnerable. That is Mr. Senegal's ultimate mission, is to prevent as much of that as possible. But obviously he cannot do it alone. So it is in everyone's best interest to have that kind of mindset. You might not be able to buy block by block or house by house, but you can at least try to buy one house, try to pay it off. So you put yourself in a specific position that you don't have to worry about paying a mortgage. You can just pay the property taxes, or you can find a place where you can get a little bit more affordable housing and then go from there. But work has to be done, implementation has to be done, not just complaining about it on social media. You have to physically put some work in when it comes to anything in this life. Excuse me. The best way to do this is identify retiring landlords, as Mr. Senegal said, that own multiple rentals in the neighborhood and buy properties from them before the outside developers and investors scoop them up. Plain and simple, to the point. I love it. Mr. Senegal is purchasing the portfolio for well over $1 million with 50% down and 50% seller financing for 2 years. Another way that Mr. Senegal is strategic in his real estate investment portfolio is that the property residents are in the long-term category, and they do not plan on leaving the residence anytime in the near future. And I can definitely appreciate that. And he stated, and I definitely agree with every single landlord's dream out there to have those kind of tenants, people who are not interested in leaving whatsoever, long-term tenants. Here's the thing, if you have long-term tenants, then you take care of them, and for the most part, they're going to take care of you. That's just my mantra. And the best part of this is that there is commercial property on the other side of the block that he owns, basically, that has tons of upside potential. Like I said before, once you become an investor, going the commercial route is definitely in your best interest. One commercial building has a single tenant, a Black-owned barbecue restaurant, and the building has a vacant space next door. The barbecue restaurant also provides after-school meals for students through its contract with the Houston Independent School District. I think that's great. Giving back to the community once again, not just being, greed, me. No, he's actually giving back, because you can tell and look at this man that he loves the community that he resides in, and that's why he's continuously investing in it. I couldn't commend him more on that one. All right. So, Here, give you a little bit better picture of Mr. Senegal and whatnot, and the great progress that he's continuously making. Keep up the good work, young man. That's all I can say. So anyways, Mr. Senegal stated that so that there has been a lot of revitalization in certain areas of Houston. He still hasn't seen a coffee shop, i.e. a Starbucks, or to capture the market, things of that nature, or breakfast meeting space, to set up a shop in the neighborhood that he is investing in. Mr. Senegal stated that this is a great opportunity for a new shop to capture the market. So if you're in Houston, Texas area, this is a great opportunity to purchase commercial real estate, or if you don't want to own the real estate, at least try to open up some sort of a business in these specific areas in Houston that will quote unquote looked at as areas that people have given up on. Mr. Senegal plans to tear down another building along commercial frontage, then build a new office and retail space. This portfolio generates over $150,000 in revenue, as is. Gotta love it. By filling the vacant lots with a coffee shop and adding the office space, and the total revenue can increase up to $240,000 per year. It sounds like great money to me, great business to me. Mr. Senegal stated that it's a win-win, and all at the same time, he is preserving the way of life and cost of living for the long-term residents. So he's making money, and he's not raising the prices to the point where the long-term residents can no longer afford living there. I like it. The real estate demand in Houston is growing because the city has been a consistent population growth over the last decade, surpassing Chicago. I can definitely believe that because I frequently go to Houston often. It's one of my favorite cities. Love the diversity of the city. And essentially, it's basically the Washington, D.C., the Los Angeles of Texas, in my personal opinion. Maybe even the New York City of Texas. I've been to Dallas, haven't been to Houston and Austin. I know those Austin and San Antonio are growing places, but I know Houston's, when it comes to being a major city, is bigger than Austin and bigger than San Antonio, from what people have told me and from me doing my research. And I've seen the constant influx in Houston. Last time I went there a couple years ago, and I could definitely see that there's way more traffic. Growing city. Beautiful city, beautiful people. Like I said, I need to go to Houston in 2020. But anyways, I digress. And one of the reasons is because the cost of living is decent, at least for now. Because any place, we've seen the narrative. It doesn't matter what state you're living in, whether it's a high tax state or a low tax state. If the demand drives price. So if the demand is higher for your water, then you're going to pay more for your water. So if demand's way higher for your real estate, then you're going to pay more for it. If you don't own it, or you're going to pay a lot for it, just so that you can own it. Excuse me. Just so you can own it. So it just goes hand in hand. That's what I was saying. Owning real estate, it's never a bad time to own real estate, unless you got one of those old-fashioned 2005 predatory loans. But it's never, especially if you own the own the property outright, and you don't have to worry about having a mortgage, then that actually works out in your best favor too, depending on how you scale it. It's how you got to look at things. But anyways, I digress. And it's one of the most diverse cities in the South, Mr. Sinegal stated, and I agree. Mr. Sinegal stated that the Fifth Ward, which is a place that I believe Scarface is from, the rapper. I know Beyonce is near that area. He was talking about Mr. Sinegal was talking about Interstate 610 loop with home prices below $350,000 have seen exceptionally high market demand. So with demand means the price is going to go up, and I've already heard my local Texan friends already calling Houston an expensive city. And I'm like, well, you still can't compare Houston to LA, New York, Washington, D.C. But I keep hearing that it's getting there. So the time, if you live in the Houston area and you don't own a property, the time to buy is now, not tomorrow, now. Ahora, mi amigos, ahora. So anyways, right now, my friends, right now. So anyways, downtown Houston hosts the Astros Rockets Arena. It's great. I love Houston. Downtown Houston's awesome. It's my getaway city, as I call it. Where, you have a lot of many downtown attractions, and it's a very beautiful city at night. Any other neighborhood near downtown is considered one of the most attractive areas in Houston, Texas. Heck, you never know, I might end up making Houston, Texas part of my investment portfolio one day, because Phoenix is on the radar right now. But that's another video for another day. Last but definitely not least, that Mr. Sinegal has partnered with the Buy the Block to create, and if you haven't heard of them, you should check out buytheblock.com. To create opportunity to sell 40% of the project through shares. And you're going to love this if you're a person who is just new to real estate investing. You got Buy the Block, you got the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. These are other ways for you to invest, like you're investing in the stock market, into real estate, giving back to your community. And it's way cheaper than you having to put a down payment on a home, or even if you're getting an FHA loan. Is the return as big as you having a rental property? Not so much, depending on how you look at it. Everybody's situation is different. The way people invest is different, but this is something you want to look into. And if you need to, contact a financial professional, because I am not one. With that being said, this is how it's broken down, as the article stated, and I myself am an investor in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, not Buy the Block, Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Buy the Block might be next on the roster. However, every shareholder will have ownership in this block of Houston, Texas. Investors will get dividends, kind of like the stock market, and the value of their shares will go up as the property value increases. Through this micro investment, because that's what it is, up to 4,000 people can participate in buying the block with me, as Mr. Sinegal stated. So you become an investor. It's like when you buy a stock, you are an investor and you are a participant in that company's growth. So it's the same thing with real estate, crowdfunding, micro crowdfunding, etc., and so forth. You are an investor. You are a part of the movement. And it's an easier and cheaper way to do it, because you can do it from your cell phone without leaving your house, as long as you got the internet, right? I think it's awesome. As the property values go up, the share values go up. It's a beautiful thing. As the rent revenues go up, the dividends go up. This is now a community investment model that preserves the lifestyle of long-term residents and becomes an investment vehicle for people of all income levels. It is a beautiful thing. Get involved. Remember that there's more of an affordable way to invest in real estate with less risk as well. So all I can say is that you inspire us all, Mr. Sinegal. Definitely keep up the good work. And like I said, the best time to start investing into real estate is today, because as you see, there's way more other platforms than just doing it the traditional route. You got this, you got delinquent tax properties, you got wholesaling that can get you the money so that you can buy other properties or invest in Buy the Block or the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. What is your excuse? What are you waiting for? It is tax season. Let's get it done. Let's get this money. And I leave it at that. There's no more I can say. Hopefully you guys have a great day. Hopefully you like the video. Remember, you can't get fired if you own the company. Please like, please share. And hey, man, let's make some money together, all right? Take care.